So, Larry started out by kind of asking, hey, who are these guys that are on this webinar? And I want to tell you a little bit about myself, because I think it's important that for those of you that don't know me, know really who I am and a little bit about my background. Is that, I've been over 40 years in aviation. And the reason I say 40 years is because my journey of aviation started really when I was 13 years old. I have to tell you a story of myself. Is that I was 13 years old, and my father, who's 91 right now and lives close by me right now, he took me to Oshkosh, all right, to Oshkosh, Wisconsin. And for those of you that are outside of the United States, don't know what Oshkosh is, in Wisconsin, it's the largest fly-in the world for a period of a week at that point in time. And he brought me to this fly-in, and there's a picture on the webinar here of a Ford Trimotor, and he paid to put me up in the front right seat of that Ford Trimotor. And I was hooked on aviation. We flew up and we went around Oshkosh, around the airport, and landed. And I was absolutely convinced that I needed to learn how to fly at that point in time. It was in my blood, is what it was. And then I went back and I started flying, and I earned money, and I started paying for my flying lessons. And I soloed my first airplane, which is also a picture that you see there on the webinar. That's a Cessna 150 Aerobat. And by the way, Larry just got his pilot's license.
I got my pilot's license 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Mark got his pilot license, what, 40 years ago?
Congratulations. Hey,
and I got mine two
every one of us are on a different journey.
Right,
Larry.
exactly.
Every one of us are. But I was 15.
And pretty much that same airplane.
That same airplane. I was 15 and a half years old, and I soloed for the first time, and that was so exciting for me. But let me just tell you,
and I was 63 years old, and I soloed for the first time.
That's fantastic. That's great. But what I'll tell you is this, is that I can remember vividly, just like it was yesterday, the day I climbed out of the airplane for the first time, right? We gave a little bit of gas, we, primed the airplane, said clear out the window, turned over the starter. And I remember clearly the first time that engine started over, and I just sent chills down my spine. And, I was hooked on aviation again, right, for the second time, right? And I went on to get an A&P mechanics license, and I actually got an engineering degree at university, and I got a business degree. But the reason I also have a picture on this slide of an F-18 is because one of the first jobs that I got out of university was working on the F-18 at McDonnell Douglas Aircraft Company. And so, I went on to that journey of working for a manufacturer at that point in time. And then I went on to work for an airline. I worked for Northwest Airlines and for, now Delta Airlines. And I managed engineering and technical publications and maintenance training. And so that's a bit about my journey. But, I was really hooked on aviation. It became just something that was so important to me is that I just had to be engaged. I wanted to be involved. Mm-hmm. It was really important to me. So, our journeys are different, Larry, but Larry, you've been at Boeing. You were at Boeing, recently retired. What's your background?
So I was at Boeing for 40 years and recently retired in February, and really happy to be retired, but really enthusiastic about talking about digital transformation. I think, Mark, you early on had a passion for aviation and flying, and I think for me, I graduated and moved halfway across the country and started working in the factory at Boeing, and it took me a while to really understand the power of what we were doing and what we were doing for the world and what we were doing to bring people together. Started out working as an engineer in the factory, and then from there did a variety of other engineering tasks, stress analysis, materials development, and at one point just ended up in this digital world and with putting together some people and processes to be able to deliver maintenance information electronically. And that's kind of where I think I really gained this passion of how to change a business and how to really get a lot of value out of a digital transformation. But 40 years at Boeing was fantastic, and again, the last 15 kind of in this IT, if you will, space or digital transformation space.
That's a lot of experience. And Larry, what he didn't say is that were you the product leader of Toolbox at that time, or?
Yeah, I was the product leader of a Boeing product that currently has over 500 customers, a digital transformation product, and had the opportunity to sort of be and kind of invent that product in a small room with about 5 other guys and watch it grow to a product that's used worldwide by over 500.
Every Boeing aircraft.
Every
At
Boeing
this point in
aircraft.
time, it's amazing. It's really amazing.
A lot of Airbus aircraft.
It is. Yeah, exactly. A lot of Airbus aircraft.
So I had the
as well.
opportunity to lead that business and kind of from the first patent to over 500 customers.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. So Larry, I wanted to add one more thing about my journey is that let me mention that I was 17 and a half years old, and when I was 17 and a half years old.
17 or 18, you were 17 and a half.
17 and a half.
Okay.
I remember it right now. Okay. And that I was heading down the path of wanting to be an aircraft mechanic, right? And I became aware of airworthiness directives and airworthiness directives back at that time were only available in paper, right? And it was frustrating to me because you couldn't easily access them or you couldn't search them or find them because basically they were only available in paper. And so I actually called up a friend of mine who worked for a big major IT company at the point in time, and I said, hey, if I wanted to put airworthiness directives on a hard drive, I said, how many of them would fit on a hard drive, right? I mean, this is back in the late 1970s that I'm asking this question, right? And his response to me was, well, it depends upon how much text and graphics there is, and I really can't tell you how many will fit on the drive. But the reason I'm pointing that out is that this is a long, long time ago, and I was thinking, how do we optimize, the processes that were out there, and how do we turn them into digital processes, right? And so this has been something that I've been working on really for practically a lifetime, right now.